Morning guys. If this is the first video that you've seen of me, then welcome to the channel. If you've watched some previous videos, then welcome back. My name's Tom and I'm currently on day 20 of my most current quit. I realised that I've not really done a proper introduction yet, so I'm in a cracking mood this morning. Had a good sleep last night, and I've got about 40 minutes in the car, so I thought I'd make this video for you. Where to start? Well, I'm English, if you can't tell from my accent. I grew up in the northwest, in the Fylde Coast, which is where Blackpool is. Grew up outside of Blackpool. I had a nice childhood. My parents divorced. You know, I got my fair share of childhood shit, but on the whole, you know, my parents loved us. I didn't go without. We weren't well off by any means, but you know, there's always food, and Mum kept the house nice. Went on holidays and things, and I was a pretty good kid. I lived and breathed football for most of my school life, and then then adulthood came around when I got to 18, and rather than going to university at 18, I did quite well in my A-levels and in my GCSEs. I was did alright at school, but I didn't fancy university. I felt the need to travel, and I'd kind of been working. I had part-time jobs, you know, my last few years of school, and so I knew what it's like to save money and work and have a goal and shoot for it in terms of getting money together. So that's what I did. I kept working in this cafe I was working at, saved some money, and it was on October, following me getting my results, maybe November. I think I got there just before my birthday, which is mid-November. And I went to Honduras, Central America. At the time, Tegucigalpa, I think's how you say it, the capital city. That was murder capital of the world. And I was just I just wanted to experience the world and get out there. So I had 3 months in Honduras, and incidentally that's where I first experienced the sweet nectar of marijuana. I was volunteering. We stayed in this guy's house. He was called Roy, and he's an ex, so he says. Subsequently he has actually been shot, but he says he's an ex-gang member, and he had this crazy scar on his belly and on his face, where he'd been shot, and he would carry a gun on his hip. But he was the nicest bloke. He'd worked in New York doing I think like shop fit outs or something like that, some kind of handyman stuff. Moved back to Honduras with his wife, with money, and And yeah, he put us up in his little sort of annex house. Me and these other 3 girls. Or, you know, they were older than us at the time. And yeah, these two of the girls were New Yorkers. They were mates, and they were big smokers, big stoners. So I don't know where the hell they got it from in the first place, but they found some, and they sort of got me out around the back of the house, made a little pipe out of tin foil, and got stoned. And I remember it was nice. It was probably a little secretive. Oh, don't let Roy find out. And about a week later, Roy says, "I've got something to show you guys, come on." He takes us upstairs of the house. We were in like the ground floor of this like annexy house, like kitchen, bathrooms and 3 rooms. The orphanage was just around the corner, you see, so it was super handy. But yeah, he took us upstairs, which had been like locked off, took us into this back room. It was all black and blacked out. He had a massive grow in there. He had about, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 plants in there, about 6 foot tall. And he's like, they're my babies. And it's like, fucking hell, mate. So yeah, that was like my first experience with weed, and just an amazing experience all round. I felt invincible at that time of my life, and I was madly in love with my girlfriend back in England. But yeah, I had some crazy experiences, travelling by boat and by bus, eating loads of food, mountains, ocean, scuba diving. I had a New Year in Utila, which is it's like the 3rd or 4th biggest barrier reef off the coast of Honduras there. But yeah, amazing. And that sort of set me path going that. I came back to England and lived with my girlfriend at the time. And I managed about 3 or 4 months, and it was going really well, but I just realised that I needed more to life than just being in this relationship with my girlfriend, working just a shitty job. You know, she was going to be in uni for 3 years. I was like, it just didn't make sense to me. I just thought I need to get out there and experience more. So I broke up with her, and that took me to London. It was just before her birthday. I had Lion King tickets, and I needed to get rid of them. So I went to London, and I stood in the West End, just trying to approach tourists, saying, "Look, this is the situation. I got 2 tickets. Things haven't worked out with me and my girlfriend. Would you like them? Show's about to start in about an hour." And I had lots of people telling me to bugger off and no thank you, don't speak English. And I think they were like Canadian or American or something. They were like, "Yeah, alright, fucking hell, I'll have them." So that was a win. And while I was there doing that on this little weekend trip, the guys at Abercrombie and Fitch, they have some like recruitment process. They have people on the streets in London, and if you sort of fit the profile of someone who could work in Abercrombie, basically look a bit like a douche, then they'll say, "Hey man, how's it going?" And they'll offer you a job or an interview. And I was like, "Nah, you're alright, I live up north, but cheers." I went back up north for a bit, not long at all, and I was like, "You know what, I've got a bloody interview and a job down there with a load of babes, so I might do that." And I did. I moved down to London. I've stayed in the absolute grottiest place imaginable, cheapest place. It was in Ilford, which is like far east London. I was in a room with about 6 bunk beds in there, 4 bunk beds maybe, probably about 20 people in the house. It stank, proper grim. But yeah, I got working and then making money, and I got 1,000,001 stories from that chapter of my life. It was exciting. I met loads of people. It was during the summer. I moved around a few times, didn't stay in that place very long. But yeah, I was taking on London and I was loving it. Cycling around, I brought my bike down. I was getting, I was fit on the bike at that time, so I was just bombing around all the central London and house parties and loads of international friends with Abercrombie work. And yeah, opportunities arose. I ended up working in, that's where I got my foot in events, working in the events industry. I was working initially as like a host, like holding champagne trays and trays of canapes for these posh people parties and promo events and whatnot. And yeah, and all this time I wasn't smoking, I don't think. I was staying clear of it. I was drinking, I was partying a lot, but still wasn't interested in smoking. Tried it. I remember smoking when I was like 17 and stuff. When I was going out with my brother's ID, going out for a night out, I'd be nicking fags off people. Have you got a fag? I can have, mate. Have you got a fag? But I never bought any cigs. And so yeah, when I did start smoking, I'd done like maybe 6 months in London that time. I started doing a bit of modelling as well. That was another thing I started doing in London. I thought, you know what, you got to be in it to win it. I've been scouted before, saying, hey, have you thought about modelling? I was like, yeah, no thanks. But cheers. That's flattering, very flattering. But yeah, that's not me at all. And while I was doing this Abercrombie, there's quite a few models and actors and things. So I was like, I'll give it a go. And I booked my first job. It was for some magazine or something, I don't know, nothing big, but I got myself a few £100 and I went to my roommate at the time, the Spanish guy Alejandro. He's from Melilla, which is on the African continent. It's part of Spain, but it's just like across the water from Marbella or Malaga. Yeah, I went to see him. Spent 2 or 3 weeks in Melilla, and a bit of a trip over to Morocco. And when I got back, my bike was nicked, and I had like an £800 custom-made racing bike, and that got nicked from Bethnal Green outside my flat. It was locked up and that, but yeah, the bolt, chopped it off handy. So I had that bit of bad luck. I was skiing. I had a place at university that I'd sort of deferred for a year, and I was like, oh, life's got to be better at uni. That was at Cardiff, South Wales, and I was like, oh, fuck it. It was the last year as well. In England, they changed the university fees from being £3,000 a year going up to £9,000 a year. And that was the last year if it would be in 3,000. So I was like, fuck it, let's go to university. It's a good time to go. It'd be better than being skint in London. And so that's what I did. Got to Cardiff, lived in university halls, had an absolute ball. And I really wanted a job working in a bar to see me through, to make a bit of dough on the side. And I managed to get myself a job in a bar called Peppermint. And it's a proper legit cocktail bar, nightclub. It's got 2 floors, maybe about 8 stations. 8 stations to make cocktails out of, something like that, 6 or 8 between the 2 upstairs and downstairs. DJs in and all round good times. And I loved that, absolutely loved it. Took over my life, learning all the menus, how much, 25ml of this, 50ml of that, what kind of ice goes in it, do you shake it or do you stir it, what kind of, what garnish it has, all these things. There's so much information to learn. and I loved it. I was obsessed. I was in my room, blindfolding myself after I'd learned the recipes. You know, I'd print them all off. Think, right, that needs 25ml vodka, 25ml this, 25ml, blah, blah, blah. Learn the recipes. I'd visualise. I'd blindfold myself, visualising the speed rail where the bottles of booze are. I'd think, right, I'm picking up here 25ml. I'm picking this one up 15ml. Getting the lime juice 25ml. Get the sugar. Da da da. And I'd be like, I was absolutely like fucking Karate Kid preparing for a tournament. I absolutely loved it. And that changed my life, that job. I found out I was very good at it. I was quick. I loved the competitive nature of it, of seeing who can take the most money through the till. I like the flair. I like getting drunk and being able to chat to everyone. I'm quite a socially anxious person. But obviously alcohol and other substances are very helpful for getting you past that anxiety. I didn't realise this at the time, but now I can look back and think, oh yeah, that was one of the things that I liked about it. But yeah, I had a great time, and that's when I started smoking. That is when I started smoking. I'd be there at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning when the bar's closed, mopping the floor, half cut, all my other colleagues outside the front, having a fag, having a laugh, and I'm inside like an absolute muppet doing the graft. And I was just like, well, fuck this, better start smoking then. So that was what, 1920. But it was only like a tool at work, the smoking at that point. I don't think I was buying much of it. I was smoking a bit of weed at uni as well. Smoking a bit of weed. I had a good mate that I made there, and we'd get stoned every now and then, but not mega. I don't think I was buying it. Just sort of smoking socially. Then I moved to London. Really tried to kick on with being a bartender in London, finding some nice work. I got into the events hospitality, doing these rich and famous people parties, but being the bartender, and that's when it was like, yeah, I was just living the party lifestyle, rockstar lifestyle. The thing about when you're working in a bar, you know, a normal bar, like a pub bar, restaurant thing, they're very tight on stock. There's someone there at management who is buying stock. Everything goes through the till. They've got a margin for error, but they kind of know they've had this many cocktails sold, this many bottles of beer sold, this many pints sold. You count up the stock every night, and there's like a margin for error, but it's like, right, it should be about this. You know, we've got 1.5 bottles of vodka on the bar, or whatever it is left at the end of the night. Whereas events, right, on the totally different game, you're doing parties for millionaires. They're hiring out some of the most amazing, beautiful venues in London, putting so much production in there, lighting, set designers, costume things. I mean, they get good-looking people holding the canapes, you know, finest Michelin star chefs doing the food, putting these crazy parties for the mates. And these are the parties that we'd be doing. You know, it's all like nice stuff, wearing suit and tie, or you know, they put you in like hair and makeup and stuff. It's crazy. And they don't give a shit about stock. They just like get so much booze, more than they'd ever need. Have a good time. Make sure the guests are having a good time. Which meant the bartenders, they've also got a green light. Really, it's not like okay guys, you have a good time, get yourself smashed tonight, but don't go too far. It's kind of like everyone knew that we'd get smashed. Everyone knows that the bartenders get smashed or have a few bevies, because it helps. It brings the energy to the party. It gets you in the party mood. It gets you all cheeky chappy with the banter, making them, you know, creating the customer service, building the rapport. The guests love it when you're on top form and you're fucking living a dream. Where did it be? And you're all in a great mood. And yeah, that's when it all started to go a bit downhill for me. And it went uphill for a long time, you know, as I was still developing as a bartender, building my career. As you know, it's freelance work as well, so it's like, it depends on the connections you're making. But I ended up getting some really good gigs. I'm like getting some jobs, going abroad and all sorts of events. It was amazing. But I did turn into a bit of a waste man, and you know, I slept on the streets a few times. Struggle with drinking, drugs, and stealing booze from work and getting caught and running myself to the ground. I'd get so ill, especially like during Christmas season and summer season where it's full on. That's where it's money time, you see. That's where it's money time. And you're freelancing, there's no like regular work, you take what you can get. So when it gets to November, December and you've got the opportunity to work 45 shifts, but a lot of them are back-to-back 15-hour shifts, you fucking take the shifts and then you take January, February off. But you just go in a little bit of self-destruct mode, don't you? Oh, hang on, this is me. So yeah, I sort of left that, left the bartending. I bought a ticket to Thailand. I had a big send-off from London. Got royally fucked over a weekend before I went, nearly missed my flight. And I got to Thailand for a 2 or 3 week trip with the view to go to Australia. I had a working visa lined up and I had flights and everything, but I got to Thailand and I was like, you know what? This suits me. This place suits me. Super chill, super cheap, nice weather. You know, I like the Asian ladies. I knew some people there. And yeah, I ended up staying for 2 years. Turned out to be 2 years. Initially I was in Chiang Mai in the north. Did a qualification to teach English. Ended up moving to Bangkok and working as a model down there, which was mental. You know, it didn't work out for me in London working as a model. I didn't get hardly any. I got maybe 2 jobs, but it's not so competitive. It's not so competitive in Thailand, and I could get I managed to make a living. I mean, it's not. Granted, it's not what you'd think a model would be a lot of the time. Like, just to sort of pay the bills, you do like promo-y stuff, handing out flyers, or you know, movie premieres. You just get your stand outside in a suit, or you know, there's always shops opening, there's always shopping malls opening. You know, there's a big fashion industry there, so there was quite a lot of work and stuff. But like fashion shows, like student fashion shows, university students dressed me up in a pair of white Speedos, tiny Speedos, and some angel wings, and I had this crazy wig on, and I have to walk out in this shopping mall in front of like hundreds of people, things like that, just to pay the bills. It's humiliating, but you know, it made me give me a real strength of character to think, well, fuck it, don't care what people think. I got so much rejection in that job. But yeah, my Thailand stories, I'll save them for another time as well. Yeah, 2 years, and then I came back to England. And by the way, in those 2 years, that's when I really started smoking weed. That's when I had the money, because Thailand's so cheap. I used to pay like, I don't know, 20-30 quid for an ounce or something, and it lasts me. I could get stoned all the time. Amount of time I just sit there. And with the modelling work, you don't have work every day, you don't have castings every day, you have so much time to kill, you haven't got any money, so what you do, you just sit at home, smoking weed, watching documentaries, playing my guitar, have a little swim in the pool, go for a little bike ride, eat some street food, you know, it was a nice life, but yeah, I was just smoking all the time. Not so much a problem at that point. I could take it or leave it at that point. I think I was, you know, if I had a job or a casting, I don't not to get stoned. I had, you know, it hadn't taken over my life at that point. But I'd signed off the modelling. I did a year of that. Decided it wasn't for me. And I thought I had an opportunity to go and do a sales job in Chiang Mai, telephone sales. I've never done sales before, but you know, I got a basic salary, opportunity to make some decent commission, living in a nice chill city in the north, surrounded by the mountains. I thought I'd give that a go. Shit job, proper shit job. Good experience, but I did about 8 months of that. Moved back to Bangkok. I had a bit of pressure to get back to England. I had family stuff, wedding or birthday or something to get back for, and I had a bit of pressure to make a bit of dough, so I thought, right, I'll go back to Bangkok and make some money modelling quick with a bit of luck. And it didn't work out. I ended up, this is a story for another time as well, but I had a panic attack. I thought I was schizophrenic. I thought I was going to fucking stab myself with a fucking kitchen knife. Horrible experience. I was stoned at the time. I was really suffering with a lot of stress, with not having money, and not making money, not booking jobs. I ended up getting my mum bought us a flight home, and that was it. I came home, fucked off, and when I got home, I got like 2 jobs come through, so it was like even worse. It was like the salt in the wound. But you know, c'est la vie. Everything's a learning experience. And I came back to England. I was just like, depressed as fuck for a bit. Being back home after living in Thailand, being in London, feeling like I'm king of the world, and then going back to being mothered to the max. Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. Picked up a bit of bar work to get me out of the slump. Got cracking again, making a bit of dough. I think I moved back. I moved back to London after a bit. I stayed in Manchester for a while, where my parents were. Managed to get myself a bit of money to set myself up in London. Did that. Back in the event scene. Things went well. You know, I love the events, but yeah, I'm just, you know, the drinking's a problem. The drinking was a big problem. And blowing all my money on weed, also a big problem. Fortunately, I mean, I had amazing experiences, amazing friends. Wouldn't change it for the world at all. But yeah, it wasn't sustainable, and I knew it. And I had an opportunity. The guys who did the sales job I did in Thailand, they said, well, the door's always open. The door's always open. I did quite well for them. You know, I got a few sales in. I wasn't very good, but I got a few sales in. They're lazy as fuck, the owners. They can't be asked getting on the phones themselves. So they were just happy to have someone doing the fucking phone calling for them. Yeah, I moved back to Thailand. I did another 2 years of that sales job. Again, I was fairly miserable for most of that because of work. I did really try hard to get a nice balance of life. I was doing yoga a lot, swimming training, cycling about all the time, spending lots of time in the mountains, camping. I had a good house set up. I was living with a good mate of mine and some other people. I had some nice bits of romance. eating good, eating so much fruit, reading. I had an art studio, sold some artwork. On paper, I should have been so happy. It was just like, I couldn't ask for more. It's just the dream life. But unfortunately, the people that I was working for made me life and live in hell. And it just wasn't worth it in the end. I seen a therapist for 6 months or something, and I came to the conclusion with her that I needed to quit my job. That was in those 6 months. That's when I was like, smoking is a problem for me, a problem that I'm really struggling to solve on by myself. And since then, I mean, I tried to quit beforehand. I tried to quit before that, but not really. There's not really anything with any conviction behind it. I remember being, when I'm bartending in my events, being like, yeah, I'm quitting, I'm not smoking, but freaking 3 hours later, you're freaking bumming a fag. You know, I was never really in the right mindset for it. But it's repetition, you know. I recognise it was so important for me to do those quits, to do that bit of, oh yeah, no, I quit smoking, and everyone's like, yeah, right. You know, you have to go through that. Just have those, even though they're small and not very, they're not very convincing, those intentions of quitting smoking. They're still intentions nonetheless. And yeah, now I've got to a point, I mean, my job's helpful. I've also been trying to quit for 4 or 5 years now, I reckon. Been back in England 2 years, last 2 years in Thailand. But you know, I started last 2 years in Thailand when I really started trying to quit, and that's when I started taking it a bit more seriously than just being on a whim. Like, that's it, I don't know if I'm not smoking anymore. I started actually looking at childhood trauma, emotional neglect as a child, how that affects the brain, how that leads to addictive tendencies, and looking at how to make and break habits, strategies for quitting smoking. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I've failed at quitting, and that's why I'm not holding my breath yet for this current quit, because I know, even though day 20 and I'm going really well, it feels like I've been here so many times before. I'm not yet in uncharted territory when I'm like 6 months, 12 months, where I'm feeling like that's it, I've done it. Even then, I don't want to be in that mindset of feeling so complacent, because it's that complacency, that's when you think, I can just do one, I can just smoke one, it's fine, I'll be right. That is it. The nicotine is so powerful, so addictive. It only takes a fag. It only takes that one moment of weakness where you give in, and before you know it, you've had a few. Before you know it, you've bought some more, you've got some in your pocket, and that's it, you're fucked. At least I know that I'm fucked. And yeah, that sort of brings me back to here. I quit that sales job, came back to England. I thought, right, that's it, I'm not going to be chasing money or fun times and crazy experiences anymore. I'm just going to look for a simple life, job satisfaction, and that sort of took me to working in outdoor education with kids, sleeping in the woods on the floor for a summer by a campfire, running round, playing games, mud on the face every day. Quality. Loved it. That got me my first van. I needed a van to be scooting around up and down the country. I wanted something I could lie down in rather than the back of my car or on the floor at the side of the road. That's basically what I was doing. So yeah, I got my van. That outdoor education season, that came to an end. You know, it's a seasonal job. I had one last minor blip where I was like, oh God, let's just make some quick money. I got myself, I thought I'm going to try getting myself a proper sales job. Not a sales job where I can work in my bedroom in shorts and flip-flops and pick and choose my hours and live in the sun. I wore a suit every day, which is something I hate doing. Wore a suit every day. Wolf of Wall Street wankers. It was not me at all. Yeah, I did that for maybe 2 or 3 months until I'd lost the plot. I was quitting then. Just before I started that job, it was over Christmas time. I've done a few quits actually since getting back to England. But yeah, I was just like, oh man, I need to start smoking. I need it for the social aspect more than anything. I want to be able to get out and have a fag with some people. Didn't help. I just felt shit about smoking again. And then I found this job working as a support worker. It's been amazing. Continuing to learn so much. And yeah, I found my direction of being of service to others. I'm applying to study mental health nursing at university. I've got a couple of places lined up. Whether I'll go or not, I'm still not fully certain. But it's a good option to have. Yeah, we'll see. I've been living the van life now for 18 months. Living in a van, and it suits me. I like the simplicity, I like the minimalism, I like the freedom, and mate, it saves you so much money. You're not blowing all your dough on rent, paying somebody else's mortgage. I'm used to having disposable income living out in Thailand, and that's totally just gone down the Swanee being back in England. There's no way I can pay rent working a low skilled job. There's no way. So yeah, that's me. I'm about done. That's a bit of an intro where I'm at, a bit about my smoking journey and what I'm about, I suppose, a little bit there. Yeah, thanks for watching. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for supporting me quit smoking journey and getting on board. I appreciate it. I hope that over this next year or 2 or 3 that these videos are going to inspire lots of people and motivate lots of people to kick the habit, to stay on track, to forgive yourselves when you fuck up, and hopefully create a bit of community and mutual support networks for people. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. So yeah, all the best guys, and thanks for watching, thanks for supporting. Bish bash bosh. Bye.